So in 2013, Rose had just turned 5 and she woke me up one morning saying, "Mum, can I tell you something?" And what she disclosed to us really changed our lives forever. We had found out that somebody that was trusted to our family had been sexually assaulting the girls for a number of years. As a parent, as a mum, I think it's probably the worst thing that you could find out was happening to your child. I expected that the justice system would be part of that re-empowering process for our kids. We never expected this experience of court to be what it was.
We wanted to say our own names because there's no shame. We have no shame in what happened to us. We know that although it took a long time to realise, it's not our fault. We did nothing wrong. I just want people to not have to be re-victimised, because it's one thing to be victimised or to be harmed by an adult who's sexually abused you, but then it's a completely another thing to be harmed or victimised by the court process. And that's exactly what it is at the moment.
I want to let people know that it's okay to speak up. There's no shame behind it because your word is way more powerful than anything.
It took 2.5 years for the girls to get to court, and it's not just the trauma of being survivors of child sexual abuse, it is the trauma of the system that was meant to, protect them. 2.5 years is a really long period of your life when you're 7.5. For us, it meant that we were dropping our children to the back of the Downing courthouse. So we would drop them off there and then leave them in the hands of others.
How difficult was that?
It was really hard. Brent set himself up with a few of our friends right outside the door so he could just see through the window.
Because it's a closed court, so we had to, they actually blanked it out with paper, but they didn't do a real good job.
So Brent was able to just look through the window and see if they were okay. But yeah, that's difficult.
I felt like they were trying to trick me because of my age, so using my age against me.
Like, I didn't understand half the language that was used, and it was very scary, especially as an 11-year-old talking to mature adults that you've never met before about something that's so personal. I personally had to listen to my own police questioning videos twice. So you're being forced to remember these things that you don't necessarily want to. And by the time you get to the court case 2.5 years later, you don't remember the important details, or you don't remember the specific details that they want you to remember. And, being cross-examined was just mean. That's what 11-year-old me would say anyway.
So in the court process probably was the toughest time altogether. One person from the jury had fallen asleep, which made me have to do it over again, which was just even more traumatising, reliving it multiple times. It made me nervous, really. I think the most parts that need to be changed is how they interact with the children, because how they did it with me, and it's just not okay.
I was so naive to what could be said and done to our children. There was a point during the trial where I actually turned to the detective and I said, I want that judge and that defence barrister charged with the emotional abuse of my children. I work with children, I work with young people, and if I spoke to them in the way that my children were being spoken to and put them through the same type of situation that they were experiencing, I would have lost my job. you know, and they would have had really good grounds for me losing my job. You know, there was a deliberate attempt to make these kids feel intimidated. I actually find it difficult to call it a justice system. I refer to it as a legal system now.
To have a kid on a stand for 4 or 5 days, that's a long time in anyone's books. In our situation, there was a couple of other girls in it, but we lost them during the process. One was deemed too young for the prosecution to take the stand, and the second one got broken during the pre-trial process, which, you know, that's not on them at all. That's on the legal system.
The biggest thing for us is we live in a rural community. We live in a small town, so we don't really have access to certain services, and with the pilot program it's only available at the moment to people in Sydney and Newcastle. We think it's important that it gets to every corner of New South Wales. So we created a petition which was approved by our local member Justin Clancy, and we basically have to get 20,000 signatures. So we've currently got 1,000 and we wanted 20,000, so we're just asking everyone to help. We want the Attorney General to hear how the court process affected us, and it was in more negative ways than positive. Justice should be a healing process. It shouldn't be a re-traumatising process.
I feel like people think that after the court process, you'll be fine after like a few weeks, but as we're saying, we're here doing this.
6 years later.
Yeah.
Why are some children still being allowed to be traumatised by a system that's not working? I don't know how the Attorney General can be okay with that. It's not fair that children are not treated equally in this because they have already been through the worst experience. They should not be re-traumatised by a legal system.
Justice shouldn't be traumatising for them, and it shouldn't hurt them. It should be more accommodating around their ages.
Our children deserve better than what is currently happening for them.